couldn't be more pleased to make this announcement, group intro, that my book of choice is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I saw the Marie Forleo TV segment where she had an interview with Glennon Doyle. And I thought to myself, I really like that lady. I want to get to know her more. So that's how I kind of jumped into it. But the really appealing part, aside from Glennon discussing with Marie about her experience at the zoo, seeing that dreaded fluffy pink bunny and the cheetah, I was also really taken by the amount of love that Glennon expresses for her partner, Abby. And I'm going to mess up all over the place here because I will be touching upon LGBTQT plus sort of topics. And I have a long way to go on the learning curve with respect to that. So I never really allowed myself the opportunity to get to know anything outside of heterosexuality. And here was this beautiful Glennon talking about a love she has for another woman. And I was like, maybe I could start to get a bit closer to and want to understand gender roles and the various ways that sexuality can be expressed. And she led me to learning about the term pansexuality. And I'll never forget the first time I did come across the word. It was from my daughter, Charlie. And she was working a project with a friend, and they were going through all the different LGBTQT flags and wanting to make different art things to include everyone in their class. And she was like, Mama, what's this flag? I'm like, oh, I think that's the pansexual flag. And they were like, well, what does that mean? And when I heard my own voice read the description of, it's when one individual can form a bond and consider loving and developing a relationship with another, not based on gender roles or sexuality, but because you love the spirit and value the person in front of you, it was the sweetest things my ears have ever heard. And it's really opened up me getting to know myself a bit more outside of a gender role or a type of sexuality that I thought I had to assume in order to be accepted.
Say something. Have you guys seen Schitt's Creek? I love that clip of Dan Levy.
Wine.
And he says his wines. If you haven't seen it, just go look. He basically takes up wine and he's talking about pansexuality, and he says, sorry, I'll take this off. And he says that I sometimes like white wine and I sometimes like red wine, and I once tried a white wine that used to be a rosé or something, and he's like, so it's really the wine and not the label that I'm concerned with.
Yeah.
It's a really great clip, and it really kind of, I feel that, so I've always felt that same way about sexuality for me. I think it's the person and not the gender. And so that's always been something I've lived by. But I think it's great, Kara, that you're kind of opening up to this idea of that, you don't have to look a certain way to be, that I think fitting into having to have a label and fitting into a box, it feels stupid. Like, why do I need to fit into some label of bisexual or pansexual or or lesbian or straight or whatever? Why can't we just be loving who we love without fitting into a label? So I haven't gotten to that part of the book, but I think it's great that that's opened your mind and your eyes to that, and to feel more open to discussing it and feel more open to being okay with people, whoever they love, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't take it. I wasn't really reading it like about any like sexual preference, but I was taking the stories for other lessons. Like I wrote down a quote on page 6, and it was she was talking about how much of this was my idea. Do I truly want this, or is this what I was conditioned to want? Which she is talking about probably sexual preference. But I really took lessons from some of these stories that, like, in that case was really like I have a lot of those kind of thoughts around finance and like life goals, like owning a home, for instance. Like we don't own our own home, we still rent, and like I'm conditioned to want to own my own home. It's not a bad thing. And like those kind of life decisions, like I'm supposed to want to make this much amount of money, or I'm supposed to like hit these certain goals. But I guess that's what all of it's about, is like, what is us? What's true to us, and what's are we just born into a society or a role or world that's just being marketed towards us? And then lastly, I wanted to mention my favorite part so far is when she goes to her therapist to tell her that she fell in love with a woman, and that fucking bitch tells her to give her husband a blowjob.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, just take a shot to the face. No big deal, girl. Keep that marriage together.
Yeah.
I know that feels less intimate. I was like, what?
Like
I
as
couldn't
if
even
she
believe
hadn't
it.
tried.
Intimate for who?
Yeah.
Less
Right,
intimate
right?
for him, maybe. But like, that is my mouth.
I can't believe it.
And
Like,
my face.
You're putting things in my
There's
mouth.
like no
My
more
face.
intimate than my face. Like if she had said a handy, I would have been like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that whole blowjob scene just underscores how exactly what you're talking about, Leah, where that therapist obviously doesn't understand, like is buying into the rule that's been sold that
The
like
social
marriages are
conditioning.
important and you must stay together, right? Like that's in her mind, it's not an option to leave your husband for a woman. It's, you know, it couldn't possibly be true that she's found someone she actually connects with. It's just that, you know, she's having an issue doing her womanly role in providing him, you know, relations. So she's like, well, why don't you try this version of that? Because there is no other option. You know, like, oh, your truth is not an option. Have you met society? That's just not an option. Try blowjobs. Like,
Book interrupted.
Hi, y'all. I survived. I have gauze in my mouth right now, and half my mouth is frozen. So, I know I look kind of silly and talk kind of silly. But I just wanted to let you know that I survived and it went okay. Nose thing, I felt very claustrophobic in it. And I kept deep breathing, and then I thought of all of you, and I thought of the power pose, and then I started thinking of the photos for our website, which made me laugh and made me feel calmer. And then I passed, like I was out for most of it, and then I woke up and I'm okay. A little bit wobbly on my feet, and I obviously my mouth is a bit funny.
Book interrupted.
I just got to the part, or I got to the keys and the section about feeling. And I think that also plays into that, the idea that feelings are made to be felt or something. What's the saying? Feel your feelings, basically. Yeah. And I think that, you know, that's also playing into this whole idea that society has taught us that you're supposed to be happy and you're supposed to have the white picket fence, as Leah said, and you're supposed to, you know, have your mortgage, and you're supposed to have the 9-to-5 job, which is something that always gets me as well. And, you know, I feel a lot of feelings, and I've always been, you know, pretty much told that you shouldn't, that you should just be happy and you should just strive for that. And it's like, well, no, you gotta feel sad sometimes, and you gotta feel angry, and you got, you know, feeling those feelings makes it healthier for you.
Grief, or like she calls it the ache, right? Because she stops numbing and then she gets back in touch with this ache. I can identify it with like my son. As I see him grow, I'm sad, right? Because it's like that say, what do they say? If you're the job of a parent is like, or no, the relationship with a child is like being broken up with, like slowly being broken up with for like 20 years, and then they fuck off and you're like, oh, and you're just, you know, like, and that's what it feels, that's literally what it feels like for me. And I like look at pictures of him as a 3-year-old and I cry, and I see him in real life as a 6-year-old, and I'm like, oh, and I like consciously like hug him, and I'm like, this will never happen again. You know what I mean? Like, but it's that ache,
that deep, yeah,
right? Because it's the ache is actually like love or whatever, and it's like, don't not experience the ache.
I want to say something before I forget, because she talks about how we are taught this as children, which we are. Mm-hmm. And there is a book by a woman called Gabby Garcia, and it's called I Can Do Hard Things. Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if all of our children were taught that, and we could maybe next generation, it just gets better and better?
Mm-hmm. that we
Also,
start
yeah.
to undo the conditioning
Yes.
of thinking we're consumers and things come easily because we just have to make a purchase. Exactly, Meredith. Wouldn't it be nice if we started to contribute towards another narrative, which is we do hard things and great things come about from taking those chances.
It helps me too. That's why I love Mr. Rogers. That song, It's You I Like, that's a good one. Might have to put that on our playlist. I sang that to my daughter this morning.
Thank you for visiting Book Interrupted's YouTube channel. Please click the button below to subscribe. This way you don't miss any episodes. Also, if you like this particular episode, give us a thumbs up to say that you liked it. Give us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Or share it with your friends and family.
On Book Interrupted.